everyone, and welcome to the first of one of our CWEA educational group chats. My name is Jen Barton. I'm the education coordinator for the circuit, and I am so happy to welcome some of my near and dear friends to have a conversation about what you can do with your students over the summer to keep them engaged, keep them in contact, and keep them on the trajectory you have for them in your minds. So we're going to cover some strategies, some best practices, some feedback, and how you can implement this into your program. Now, since the season is just about over for everybody, you can go ahead and get these plans going. It's the perfect time to set this up. So before we get started in the convo, let's go around the room here. And let's do some introductions. Tell me who you are, where you are, how long you've been there, and any other fun facts you want to let our folks know. So we'll start with Erin.
Hi everyone. I'm Erin Kosman. I am at Vista Ridge High School. Next year will be my 10th year there, which I can hardly believe. I originally come from the East Coast and grew up in the Black Watch organization in the early 2000s. Taught a little bit of everywhere. I'm somewhere in my 20-something year of teaching now. So yeah, and I guess my fun fact is I have a baby daughter who is just 15 months, and I love being a mom.
Aww. Yeah, we love that. All right, Amanda, my friend, you're next up here for the intros.
Hello, darling. So Amanda Koerber Polatty, whichever one. I go by both now at this point. It's been too long. I'm from Florida, down here, you know, in hot, awesome, muggy Florida. I went to Ridgeview High School. I taught there, joined NEI, Northeast Independent in 2004. Was with them for 6 seasons. I also marched Phantom Regiment for Drum Corps. I have been out of the game for quite some time. I had my son in 2010 and was like, put everything aside. And then now he's in percussion, and they were like, hey, you have color guard experience. And I was like, I do. And they were like, we need a coach. And I was like, sounds great. I'm in. What do you need? And then here we are. So this is my first year back in literally 20 years. But you know, it's just like riding a bicycle. It came right back to me. So yeah. And I teach, it's their first year in Scholastic A. I have 8 brand new girls out of 10. So never spun before.
This is a super important conversation. Yeah. Amazing. Victoria, you are up next, my friend.
Hi, everybody. My name is Victoria. I'm originally from New York, but I live in North Carolina. I currently teach at Hickory Ridge High School, which is a CWEA organization. So holla hands for CWEA. I have been teaching now at the school that I'm at, which is Hickory Ridge, for 6 years, but I've been teaching for 11 now. And I'm an Etude alumni. I don't really know what else. It's exhilarating. We are actually doing auditions today, and we have 10 new members, which is amazing. I'm typically a small color guard here. I mean, we marched 8 this past winter, so it's been really great to see some growth. So like Amanda, I've got some new kids, new Scholastic A members, but that's great. So we love to see the growth.
Absolutely. All right, Ian, my friend, I hope you're at a red light. So there you go.
Hey, no hands. Yeah, hi, I'm Ian Lewis. I am at Flower Mound High School in Texas in the DFW area. We have a really big color guard, and I think we're going to be around 77. This year, it's like 30 new kids. So that's like a whole color guard worth of new kids. So that's going to be fun.
Oh my God.
I've been here. This will be year 5 coming up this year. Before that, I grew up in like the Paramount, Atlanta area. I taught there for years and years, and yeah, I'm excited to talk to you guys and see what everybody's ideas are.
Perfect. And then last but certainly not least, Adam, my friend.
Hi, I'm Adam. I'm originally from the Raleigh, North Carolina area. I did the color guard gypsy lifestyle, lived all over the country, marched lots of places. Spent a few seasons working with Etude and Jen and when they were an open class color guard, and then moved to the Indianapolis area where I currently reside. I've been here for about 10 years. I know, 10 years. Tell me.
I can't believe that. Seems like just yesterday we were doing say something.
I'm currently the color guard director at Franklin Central High School, and then also the color guard director of Revival Independent A and Independent Open, based here out of Indianapolis. And I live with my wife Samantha. We have a 2-year-old Lucas and a dog and 2 cats. So it's a zoo in my house right now, so that's why this screen's blurred.
I'm
Oh my God,
five,
you guys.
everybody. Gosh.
I forgot my fun fact. My
Oh,
fun
yeah.
fact is I have a mild obsession with greyhounds, and I have 3 of them.
Ooh, this is why I'm in my bedroom, is because I have a new staffy, and she does not like it when I'm on my phone or my computer or anything, not paying attention to her. So we're crashing in here for a little bit. Before we get kind of into the round robin, Miss Kosman has alternate plans this evening. So I'm going to have her do her little pitch of what she does at Vista Ridge. And that's in Leander ISD in the Austin area in Texas. And so she's going to give us a quick rundown. And then the remaining cats and kittens in here, we're going to kind of do a little round table. Hit it, Erin.
All right. So last year I did this for the first time and I felt it was really successful. I liked it. Might tweak it just a little bit going into next summer. But the thought process behind it was really the change in the A-class criteria, in the fact that it no longer is a beginner class. And so my mindset was, you don't have 4 years to create students who are ready for intermediate to advanced skills. You've got to get them ready in, I would say, it's a year or less. So by the time they're sophomores, they are at least on the bubble of being on your varsity team. That being said, I wanted to make sure that they were engaged throughout the summer, working on their technique primarily, the foundation for everything, but then also stretching their current abilities. So I set up a Wednesday workshop. Happened every week from right after we got out of school until we started guard camp. 9 to 3, 9 to 4. In the first part of the day, I structured as private lesson time. Highly encouraged my students to take private lessons with those who were available. So I have a staff of about 3 to 4 people, and then connections with a large group of Austin area color guard directors. So I would reach out and say, hey, if you're available next Wednesday, let me know, and I'll put you on my list. I would send out a sign up to my students for all of those private lesson teachers. And I would say the engagement the first time through was pretty good. I always had at least 2 or 3 lessons happening and set them up in about half-hour increments. I also offered leadership lessons for any student who wanted a lesson but maybe couldn't afford that throughout the summer. I didn't want the monetary factor to kind of like be a barrier. And I also love the idea of our leadership forming early connections with all of our students, especially our freshmen. Maybe a little bit less intimidating for some students to just take a lesson from a friend and get feedback. And I would say a good 15 to 20 students every Wednesday. We're not huge right now. We're hoping to hit the 30 mark this coming fall. We were sitting between 30 and 40 right before COVID, and we've just been trying to break back into those high numbers ever since. I think the engagement over the summer is really important. It kind of takes away that, like, we get the Sunday scaries before we go back to work. It kind of takes away that, like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? I've been off all summer. Now I have to go to do this guard camp thing from 8 to 4 every day. So it helps them prepare. We definitely have to factor in the heat here in Texas. So that's another big thing, is like, if you're not training throughout the summer, that first week is going to be brutal. So my rule for my high school kids was, if you didn't have a prior commitment, or if you were not out of town, like, you were there. And then I also do have a feeder middle school that is relatively new. and I'm still getting my head around like what the best practices are there, and part of it is really an administration thing. I'm hoping to actually set up a 6th grade intro course this year, which I think will be huge. But it also opened it up to those middle school students, and I had a good amount of middle school participation, and I think it again helped with those students who were brand new to the program, so that they have 6 weeks from the time when we start class until they're in front of a huge crowd for an event we call the Leander Festival of Bands. And for someone who is 11 years old and has never touched a flag before, like, that's intense. So anything we could do to get them involved, get them spinning, have them hanging out and making those connections and relationships, because that's a good bit of it. Is if they feel connected to the group, they're going to keep coming back. They're going to want to do the thing. They're going to want to try the tricks and all of that. Video assignments are kind of my nemesis. I'm not great at grading them and looking at them, I'll be perfectly honest. So we would work on our, the fundamental skills each week, and then I would assign them. I would say our participation in that wasn't great, but I think that's something that I personally need to improve on. I do find the value in them. I do think they're great. I just love my in-person time with my kids, though.
Yeah.
So that was more my focus this last summer. And a trick chart, that is something new we're going to do, because of like I said, the A-class criteria. They've got to be trying the hard skills with the body underneath. As much as I love a straight up and down, give me a clean catch toss, you've got to have the students who are able to bring those skills to the table come winter season. So
most
that's
definitely.
my spiel.
And then are you the one that manages and organizes and oversees, or do you farm some of that out to the staff, or are they just there to teach and you're the one that makes sure everybody's where they're supposed to be and progressing?
Yeah, that was all kind of organized by myself. So the setup of the day, kind of what we were going to focus on during the workshop, during the afternoon hours, and then just coordinating, okay, who's available on which weeks, and sending it out. I would usually try to do it like a week in advance. So I would find out who's available for the next week, and by like the Friday before, so they have all weekend. And I always would send it out multiple times, like, hey, we still have 3 slots open for lessons, or we have 4 leadership lessons available at this time. So it was oversight, but once I did it the first time and then kind of copy and paste the format, I use Sign Up Genius, and you can just like paste and go. So it became easier once I did it a couple times.
Awesome. Yeah, it's like coming out of COVID, we're 6 years out of that, where we had to shift everything to being virtual and digital and video, and upload this to Google Drive and this to Canvas, and we were just constantly having to create these engagement tools that were like, I am spending so much time creating these engagement tools that I don't want to look at them again. So I think that having that in-person element is something that, one, the kids need super desperately, and 2, it gives them motivation to do something because they know somebody's there. They know somebody's going to be checking them out. They know that they're going to be seen, or they're going to see. And I think that in-person is such an important piece. So I love hearing that your emphasis is in that for sure. And Sign Up Genius, that's a great, I'm taking notes on everything so I can send stuff out so people can have, just click here and do this. I'm trying to make it easy, but yeah, that's a great resource to keep everything organized. Any last words, Erin, before you have to go be fancy lady?
No, if you guys have any questions, I'm sad that I'm missing the rest of the conversation, because I always love to hear what other people do and, kind of take and tweak it for myself. But wishing you guys great conversation, and maybe Jen, you and I can recap afterwards.
Absolutely. I'd love to. And you guys have a great time. Hi, Eric.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. Everybody remaining here. So let's talk about some of the activities that you do, whether it's virtual, which I think has a ton of merit too. It's organized, it's unorganized. There's so many paths to go down. So whoever wants to jump in, jump in.
I can do my process.
Let's go.
So I'm going to start with recruiting and when and why and how. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but then I'll kind of go into how we get them in the door and keep them in the door for a long period of time. Because I think, we can talk about training and all that, but mainly you just want people. You know what I mean? And once you get people, then you can start to train. So I don't know about when everybody else's kids start to register for their classes, but we've learned that at our school system, they're starting in January and they're choosing their classes and they're choosing what they want to do in January. And in Texas, I don't know about everywhere else. When I was in Georgia, this was not the case, but in Texas, you have to take it as a class. So you're in color guard, it's year round, and it's a class that you're in every single day at school. So you have to register for color guard, right? And if you don't register for color guard, then you're not going to be in color guard. You know what I mean? So what we have chosen to do is we'll take a group of kids in December. Well, we started in January, but now we're moving it back to December. And we go to PE classes and we perform a little pop routine to a song that I'll search on the internet, what's a popular song for middle school kids right now? And then I'll write a little fun ditty that's really approachable. That's not super hard, that kids can think like, okay, I think I can do that. And we'll perform it for the kids. And then for the rest of their PE class, they're just playing with flags and rifles. And the kids are, I'll put a fun song on and the kids are just swinging flags around and the older kids will show them a fun thing. And I try not to make it like all my very best kids that perform for them. I try to mix it up so that you get some freshmen in there and some sophomores in there or whatever. And we'll do that at all the middle schools in every single PE class. Now, this is going to be, you can take it or leave it. I try to, and some people may not like that I say this, but I try to isolate the girls and the boys separately when we do this, because I have found over the years that in that age group, when they are mixed gender in those situations, sometimes the girls will shy away from trying it in front of the boys because they don't want to get made fun of by the boys for trying it. And so I have found that putting the girls in one situation and putting the boys in another situation has kind of helped give them the space to explore and not feel, like they're worried about what other people are thinking about them as much. So we found a lot of success with that. Now, I think in every region of the country, you might feel differently about that. I know when I was in Georgia, that wouldn't have been the case. But anyways, so I say all that. So then we get them to sign up on a digital interest form and we get their contact information. And then based on that digital interest form, I'll reach out to their parents and I'll say, we're doing this thing called Junior Jags, which is like a middle school once a week. It's on Wednesdays from 5 to 6:30. And it's basically playtime. They come in and for the first, while I'm doing winter guard, they're having playtime. And because I can't be in two places at once. So they're learning basic fundamental skills, drop spins, this and that, how to toss. It's kind of unstructured though, just so they have some fun. And that gets them in once a week, starting in January and so they start registering for their classes. They're like, I want to do color guard. They register for color guard. Then they're coming once a week and we're seeing them. They don't have to be there every time. We're loose on attendance. Like, oh, you can't make it this week. That's totally fine. We'll see you next week. And then by the time winter guard gets over, then I go in there and I start teaching them a routine to perform for their parents. And once winter guard is over in my high school, we do this thing called solo and ensemble. And every kid has to participate in solo and ensemble. They write their own routine and they perform it for a grade in class. And they also have opportunities to perform it for our circuit. We have a circuit solo and ensemble, which is pretty cool.
I'm hoping we can restart that back up again and see.
Yeah. Our district has one too. So our district has a solo. So they can perform a bunch of different times. And we actually tie that to them getting a letter for their jacket. But anyways, so I say all that to say the middle school kids are doing all this in the background, right? And then when it's solo and ensemble, the big hoorah at the end of solo and ensemble is the middle school kids performing. So they get a performance experience and they get to, because, if you don't have a performance experience, sorry, but I don't want to do it. I'm just going to be honest with you. Why am I coming? If I'm going to come and do all this and then you're not going to let me perform, then I'll just wait till high school. That's kind of how I feel about it personally. So, but it's not a pressure thing because in our district, we're not allowed to do a competitive middle school thing. And I will say what I wish to say about that on a private call if you would like, but on a public call like this, I'm going to stay professional and say that, some districts allow you to have a middle school class and some districts don't, and some districts allow you to be competitive and some don't. And you got to figure out in your situation what works best for you. And what I have found is that this works for us. We have my senior class. If you look at my senior class when we didn't do this, it's like 10 kids. And then you look at the freshman class that's coming in, and there's 33 registered. So I mean, I would say that the data shows that this is working for us. Now, if I compare this to some programs that have a class in the middle school, these kids are behind those kids, obviously.
Yeah.
And then during the summertime, once they've made color guard and everybody's in color guard now, we have weapons, the weapon line. They have Tuesdays are saber days and Thursdays are rifle days, and it's for 2 hours each day. And I'm not there because I'm teaching drum corps all summer long. So I have somebody that I trust that does that. And they'll meet at the school for 2 hours and they'll work on their saber fundamentals and their rifle fundamentals, because that's a muscle development thing. And if you don't keep them spinning throughout the summer, their muscles are just not going to be able to handle it. And if you want to hit the ground running, throwing fives and stuff, you got to be spinning during the summertime. So I would highly recommend just doing fundamental classes and having like a list of check off, like this is the stuff you have to check off before camp, so that, because ideally when you start camp, your fundamentals are learned and you can do them and you're starting your show, right? That's at least how I try to pace it. And then the flag line, I try to give them a break because I find that group of kids is just not as intense as the weapon line. The weapon line is really intense and they want to be at the school doing the stuff, but the flag line kind of appreciates that break, right? And then they come back and hit the ground running in summer band. But those kids have a trick choice board. She was kind of mentioning that earlier, but I just started this year and I've built this, it's like different points. So like there's skills that are 1 point, and there's skills that are 2 points, and then there's skills that are 3 points, and then there's and it goes all the way up to 5 points. And I have 3 skills in each thing. And I have one for flag, one for weapon, and one for dance. And I'm going to make one for saber here in a minute. You got to give me a second. But so that those kids can like start to screw around with stuff and just kind of see like, okay, I can do a single pirouette, check. I can do a double pirouette, check. I can do a clown jump thing, whatever that is, clown jump. Okay, check. I can throw a rifle triple and catch it behind my back, check. And they can start working on that stuff in their yard when they're bored. And that kind of gives everybody in the color guard the ability to move at their own pace and just start to check off things. And I'll go in there and grade them online. We have Canvas in our district. I'll go in there and give them completion. Like, okay, you did it, check. I don't even tell them if they did it right or wrong. I just say, you did it. There it is. And then when school starts, I'm going to tell them for the next year, if you're going to so we have 3 winter guards. We have a regional A team, a scholastic A team, and a scholastic world team. Within your score to make the winter guard, you got to have this many points if you want to be in the world guard. You got to have this many points if you want to be, you know what I mean? So that the kids kind of go, my motivation for learning these things, and I'm getting this in the spring, but it's really for December next year. I have all this time to kind of poke around and work on that stuff. And those are the extension activities. And I'm wrapping it up soon. I promise I'm not too long-winded.
You're doing good. This is all super helpful. So all good.
The last step to all this is in the fall, we'll work on our show every day during class, right? Once a week, we do extension day where I'll take a group of kids and go, okay, you guys are over there with this staff member and you're working on sit roll 45, go. And they just go and they're not in class and the rest of the kids stay in class. And then I'll rotate it out and each time. So every kid gets to leave the class for one day and go work on something that's not in the show that I can start to plan for winter guard. Because ideally, and this is the first year I'm trying this, so I'll let you know how it goes. But ideally, all the tricks that are on that choice board, the kids can achieve when we start the show. So that when we're doing the show, we're just stitching things together and then we go, okay, hey, do that 45, this thing right there. Cool. And then we can like plan the winter guard show around who can
You're not
what.
like, okay, who can do a turnaround under a flag toss? Okay, who
Right.
can throw a quad? You already have that data already there. you can even talk to, you know, you can think about that if you're fortunate to have a designer or a drill writer or whatever, that you're like, okay, I've got 5 sabers and these flags are super killer and these 3 dancers need to do something for 4.5 minutes of the 4-minute show because they're fabulous. You know, you already have put that work in. So, and also for morale, let's talk about the feeling of late February, early March, when you're like, okay, Caitlin, we've been given, oh no, there we go. Okay, we've been giving you that chance, but that 6 is gonna have to be a quad because we just can't do it.
Right.
We've given you the time. You're putting the time in a less stressful time period of the year, so they can grow, and I love that, on their own pace, and that gives them agency to what they're doing too. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it. You know, we start our marching band show like right now. Like I'm like next week I'm writing part 1 with the weapons, and we're gonna start working on it. Which I know not everybody works like that, but I thought to myself, why am I not doing this in the wintertime? Like, why would I not start planning the effects that are vertical skills earlier so the kids can master them before we start the show? And I'm like, it makes sense, you know. So good planning ahead helps. And so we're talking about winter guard right there, but then there's the fall, you know, like, I don't know about y'all, but I'm not doing double turn 6s outside in the fall. It's windy and that's not gonna happen. So I'm worried about BOA clean in the fall. Sure. But then, you know, if you only do BOA clean in the fall and you don't do the extension, then when you get to the winter guard, then you're never going to be in the top of box 4, bottom of box 5 at the end of winter guard because they're not ready yet. So anyways,
when you start that trajectory now, you can hit what we need to be successful in marching band and contribute to the ensemble kind of on the road to what you need for winter.
Right.
So
there's just like layering. Yeah, layering things. So yeah.
And that process is all just completely customizable. You know, if you're listening or watching this and you're like, I have a regional AA color guard, I'm like, no one's sit rolling probably in my show, even without equipment in their hands. Okay. Like, you're just looking at that basic set of skills. Like, you got to figure out what's going to work in that class. And then you plan, it's all customizable, right? The whole point system, the whole it's like, I know my right from my left, 1 point. I know you all have gone into someplace and you're like, all right, left foot first. And the kid goes like this. And you're like, right from left, 1 point.
I will say something to think about if you're going to do like a choice board or whatever. It doesn't have to be tricks. It can be like, here's like, think about your, like, if you're sitting in your chair and you're like, I want my whole guard to throw a flag double and catch it at an angle. And I just can't imagine, like, I would be so happy if they did that. Maybe that's your highest level. Like, that's the high. And then you start to think, what could they do underneath that? Or, you know, just find your ceiling and then fill it out from there, you know. And the thing is, my last thing about this, whatever you're going to do needs to be digestible to them. So like for me, I made a PDF that has links to videos on YouTube that are unlisted. So like, you know, Sally wants to learn how to do a pop toss turnaround. Sally goes and clicks pop toss turnaround and it shows an example right there on her phone. This is what a pop toss turnaround looks like. And then she goes, okay, I can do that. And there was not a lot of like ... time, you know, like how do I do that? What is that? Like, she just sees it right there immediately and then tries it. You know what I mean? But if they have to go and look for it on their own, it's probably not going to happen. Right. You know, so just a thought to chew on with that one. But
amazing. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much for that info. Who would like to go next? Adam, you unmuted, so I'm guessing you want to go. Are you feeling it?
I will, if you want.
Sure.
I do a lot of the similar things to what Ian does. We kind of adopted this from Center Grove. When my wife Samantha was in the guard, they did something called the star chart, and it was pretty much just a list of all the technique and skills that they needed to have. And they got literally a star sticker. So we'll do it with ours, like Franklin Central, the flashes. So I'll go get lightning bolt, you know, stickers, and we'll do that. And we put it up in the band room. And kind of track everybody's progress the same way. We do 2 days a week during the summer. Oh, actually, when school's right when school's out, we do like a 3-day mini dance intensive, and I want to say it's like 1 year we did it 1 to 9. Yeah, we do half days, like 1 to 9. And the parents feed the kids dinner, and all we do is dance. We do all of the dance technique. We learn all of our warm-ups, all of our across the floors. And then even there, as we're doing our technique, we tier it. So we'll do like an across the floor will be a 3-tier. It'll be the same song, same fundamentals, but we'll have like the beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So the beginner might be jazz walks and a sit roll. And then the intermediate might be the jazz walk, sit roll, fan kick. And then the advanced would be jazz walk, sit roll, fan kick into a handstand cabriolet or something. And we kind of run it all together. We line them up and do the lines so they can go. But when they're there, we say you're doing A, B, C, whichever version. And as they master one throughout the season, it can take them all season. But the goal is by this milestone in the season, we're all doing the advanced version. So it gives the kids that have been in it, they kind of keep going at the pace that they're going, but then the beginners are not left in the dust. We can still rehearse the whole ensemble the same way. So we do that, and then we have a few guest clinicians that come in and do a few different styles. Like every day, the last hour, we learn a combination that's in a different style. So they learn 3 combos. It's normally a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday camp. And sometimes that relates to the show. There's elements that we can. I always try to do just a fun one that's not related to the style of the show, just to give them something to do. Then the rest of the summer until band camp, we do 2 days a week. We do a weapon training day, and then everybody is there one. And they always fill out a conflict form. So if they're on vacation, I know where they are. And we do the star chart. They can either send videos throughout the summer, but most of them I found this past year is I would always stay after a half hour, and the staff stays and it's open gym for them to check off. If they don't want to send a video, they can do it for the staff and earn their star there. So we found that a lot of the kids will do it together. They don't necessarily like doing the videos by themselves, but they'll work in little pods and friend groups and like, let's knock out these 3 these day. I don't really care how they do it or who they do it with, as long as they do it. So, yeah, and it just takes a half hour. And most of the time you're there for a half hour anyways, shooing them out and stuff. So we just kind of use that as time to get it done. So they can send a video on, like, we use the band app or during the school year Canvas or whatever. But that's all of our stuff is pretty much the same. It's just having a tiered listing all the expectations where we want them to be somewhere visible, so then they can practice. And then we try to do something like mid-season to get over the hump of that. Like if we can meet this milestone, we'll end practice early, or we'll miss this sectional night and we'll do like pizza and bowling or something like that. That's something we started in the winter. That was good every now and again, just doing some kind of team bonding. In the summer, they'll do cookouts and pool parties and stuff like that as a team. But we always try to do something fun in the summer and something in the winter 2 or 3 times, just to kind of get them out of the area. I know here in Indiana in the winter, like our state finals and the Avon Regional is always the 2 weeks that we're on spring break. So the kids can't ever really travel because we're always doing camp days. Like I try to give them in the winter, the first, 3 days off, and then we do Thursday, Friday, Saturday camp days. But those 2 weeks, on one of the days, we always end at dinner, or we'll go bowling or something like that. Last year we went to there was a game show place up here. So we took the garden. We played a game show for the evening and took them to dinner and stuff. So just little things like that annoy me that like you wouldn't want to do, go a long way with them. And it's actually, once you go, I was like, okay, this is actually kind of fun. Like, I don't mind you. You drive me crazy in rehearsal, but you're kind of funny when we're not in the gym.
Sometimes some folks call that mandatory fun. It turns out to be fun. I'm not a mandatory fun enjoyer either, but
It's not so bad once you go.
It's not so bad.
Yeah, so I found it goes a long way, just
Oh,
building trust and stuff with the kids. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we do. It's very similar. But yeah, I found out that a lot of the video assignment, I used to be a stickler on that, but we actually get more people to do it when they're there. So half hour is all it takes.
Yeah. And you've got multiple staff people that kind of hang out
Yep.
and help you manage it. So it's not just you doing all of the things. You
Right.
kind of spread that out to other folks too.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Beautiful. Okay, Amanda or Victoria, whoever wants to jump in with y'all's process.
Hello, I'll jump
Hello.
in. Sorry, I was like driving from rehearsal earlier. So, no, it's so cool hearing about your like the way you do things because you have such big numbers. While North Carolina, even though I'm 25 minutes from the South Carolina border, is such like a different world when it comes to band and the numbers because schools here are built so small.
Yeah.
Like it is not the same. So when I go to the Charlotte Regional with my kids, I'm competing against groups that have 20 kids in the guard.
24,
Yes.
right.
Right.
That
Or like
fill
40 kids in a
everything up.
program. Right.
Mhm.
And I've got 8 kids running around the floor. Now, I'm biased. I have fabulous 8 kids that we competed with this past winter and they were great, but it's like a numbers game for us here. And it's great to hear what you guys do for recruitment. And we've actually started the middle school, like what Ian was talking about, like going and doing like a little ditty for the middle schoolers and saying, hey, like this is what guard is here, touch a flag, and like feel it how it goes. But I think for us here, especially this past year, doing the spin club at the middle school has been the most success for us with, again, different states, different schools, but with leading them into the color guard season right now. I mean, having 10 new kids for us is like eye opening. Like to have 18 kids on this color guard this next year is like a great,
That's
right.
amazing.
It's amazing. I'm like, thank the heavens, because even I went to the high school I teach at and I had 30 girls I was like on a guard with. So to see it so small, I was like, why? Right.
Yeah.
And I think some of it has to do with COVID and like how kids are nowadays. I think they just don't want to be involved in stuff. And I don't know, it's tough being at, again, North Carolina, and there's so much stuff that the schools provide. It's like, and they're already small numbers as it is. It's like, how can I get some of those kids involved in this, right? Like what is going to attract them to guard? So that's been really great, at least for us. And then I think we do a lot of the summer workouts, like everybody's talking about. They're not like mandatory if you're not here, but if you're here, like I'd rather you not be sitting on your couch eating Doritos. Like, let's go outside. And we start preparing them because like Texas, it's hot in North Carolina in the summer and it's humid. We got to get running. We get the kids outside. We try to spend the whole time, if we can, basics. I really love the chart idea. I actually might steal that. That's a really great idea. And we do basic skills. Everybody, at least for us, we try to get touching a rifle, even if they don't spin it in the show, just to get their hands a little wet, like drop spins, just to see how they feel it out. I feel like some kids enjoy it more than flag. I don't know. We do video assignments here. I think they're reciprocated more only because they're so small, right? There's 8 of them, so I'm only waiting for 8 videos. I think doing it in person would be a great idea. I really like that opportunity too, Adam, like staying just 30 minutes because we're there anyway. And the kids are like tossing and they're doing stuff in front of you. I'm like, might as well just do your homework assignment and get it done. And the kids do a lot of that over the summer. They have camps. We do like leadership activities. The leadership puts together like a pool party, I think, at one of the girls' houses every summer to kind of get them to commingle. We do not attend that because I'm like, that's a you thing. Pool parties are a y'all thing. I'll do bowling. Like I'll do something fun like that. But we've done that. We do our own banquets during the year, like just the guard, not even the band, because I think sometimes it's important just to show off what we do. I don't know. I think it's special, just the color
And
guard.
especially when you're talking about having a smaller program, the more that you can shine the spotlight
Correct.
on anything, the better.
Right.
And I love
Right.
hearing you talk about the leadership, kind of your leadership students taking
Right.
ownership. And I think that's something to remind those of you that are watching and going, it's me. I
Right.
do everything. I am the instructor. I don't have a staff. I don't have extra anything.
Right.
So when you go, all right, the social aspect, the engagement aspect, because engagement is not just about technique, training, skills, checking things off the chart. It's also about making sure that, like, if a kid is not feeling it or is having a hard time, they
Right.
have that support system. And like Ian talking about the middle school stuff happening and having the leader, and Erin talking about the leaders doing some of the private lessons, getting that structure in place 9 times out of 10 is going to help you in those tough moments in band camp when Jeanette is like,
Right.
I'm out. This is horrible. It's hot. You are mean. This is sticky. I got hit by that bass drum player. I have gone through 17 reasons in the time we've been standing here, and that the leadership students doing those fun things, and especially without you, with trusted parents, it creates that connection that's so important when things get tough, that go way beyond just the technique and stuff. So yeah, getting a strong leadership, that's a whole other Oprah that we'll have to meet and talk again about getting strong leadership. Because I think that's one thing, and Ian probably is going to nod his head at this. I think that's one thing when people are like, how do the bands in Texas, how does this happen? Like, how does this magical stuff, like, what are you all, a wizard? No, the student leadership structure in those bands, that when you're thinking about that list, and those guards that you're thinking about that list, the band directors are incredible, but there's 4 of them, maybe 5, maybe 6, if that, with 300, 400. The student leadership structure at those programs is absolutely like beast mode to the nth degree. The school that I was at Rouse High School in Leander, was just like, we were kind of the up and comer little kid in our circuit. And it was like, all we did was pour into the leadership students and give them that process, because they would, they were an extension of all of us as a staff. So I love that consideration that you're talking about, Victoria, about just, the kids plan stuff. They create those relationships. That's so important too, just beyond training.
Right. Even at rehearsal, I like almost like a Big Little thing. Even during auditions right now, I grouped up like, okay, I think this would be a really good pairing. I think they would do a really great job helping, because sometimes I feel like the kids do a better job when we review it together. And then I'm like, okay, let's break off in for 5 minutes, go with your buddy, take some time, review it, go with the leadership in your groups that are assigned, and let's like start to work things out. And sometimes I feel like they're a little bit more, especially when they're so new and shy and a little awkward, right? Like we all kind of are. And they ask questions and they're able to kind of laugh a little bit more and not feel the pressure of like us watching them right now. And I think it kind of loosens them up a bit and allows them to make the mistake without feeling like they're getting shamed on by us, right? Especially when they're new, right? We just went through auditions. So for us, it's more like, okay, do we see any progress? Like, do we see that they want to get better and they want to be here? Great, right? That's all we're looking at. For the kids, it's like, okay, how do they feel? Are they comfortable? And it kind of gets them more comfortable, like you're saying, with the team, right? With the team that already exists. It creates comfortability, it creates community, and it allows them to feel like they're a part of something, even though like we were just doing auditions. So I definitely really rely on that leadership team, because we don't have a class, right? We are just rehearsing during the week, right? We have week rehearsals, and then winter guard, we have full Saturday rehearsals, but I don't see that. Like I have a job during the day. Like I'm just like driving my little car over to the school at the end of the day, and I see them after school, right, until 8 o'clock. And for us, we start school at the high schoolers at 7:15 in the morning. So they're going 7:15, and then we don't end rehearsal till 8:30 some nights. So the exhaustion, like we're all exhausted sometimes. And it's good to feel like your team is all there. And I always repeat to the kids, I'm like, if you're here, I have to be here. So like we're all in this together, right? At the end of the day, and we're all here to help each other.
I love that.
And I think leadership really does help with that. So that was kind of a good little nod to the leadership team. But yeah.
Absolutely. That if you're ever at the end of your rope, anybody watching this, pour into your leadership team, even if it's one sweet little captain. You gotta have an assistant. You gotta have somebody to help relieve that stress for you. Okay, Amanda, I'm going to try to not rush you. And if we have to stop and start over with the recording or the meeting, we can do that. But I think instead of hitting the topics, we're just kind of all talking. So Amanda, let's hear about what you are learning and discovering in your process of coming back to the activity and what you are at. What's Sandalwood? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Sandalwood High School. Perfect.
I can tell you one thing. It's not the same as it was 20 years ago. It is not
nope.
almost unrecognizable. I was like, what are we doing? And they're like, this is what we do. And I was like, not what we're doing. Going back to basics. Actually, I took over the program there. There was not a lot of the staff that was on staff did not do like any of the writing at all.
Oh,
I know. They didn't spin really or anything like that. So it was mostly like they were there to kind of make sure things were happening. They were getting taught by other people coming in and out all the time. So when I took over, they were like, wait, you write and do the choreo. And I was like, is that not what we're supposed to be doing? I'm confused. So that's very different. So I did that this year. I had 8 brand new girls that have never spun before. Similar to what Ian said, we started doing the middle school stuff as well last year. We have, I think, 11 new girls coming from middle school into our band this year.
Amazing.
Excited. We have 2 theater schools, so they have to support us. You can pick wherever you want to go now. So we're like trying to just like any incentive we can give any middle schooler to come to, Sandalwood, we're in it. And we're the largest school in the district. So we outrank population every other schools, and we have the smallest winter guard, which is crazy. So we're trying to do the middle school recruiting now, and it's going really well. We do something similar to going over there and performing and letting them play with all this fun stuff. We didn't do PE class, but I love that idea, so I think I'm definitely gonna go on that. We started something new this summer because last summer was really crazy. The girls had no basics when I came in mid marching season this past year. Drop spins were wild. Like I was like, how are we even functioning in this show? So this year we started marching Mondays. It is mandatory unless you have, something family to do. It starts the week after school is out and it goes all the way to band camp. It's 4 hours and we break everything down. It's, warm up first, then we do an hour of body because these kids have again, which one's my left, which is my right? What is it?
Yeah.
I don't even know. Point my what? And then, so we're doing that. And then we do a full equipment. And then anybody who's experienced obviously will be doing weapon when we're doing black block. And then we go into music theory and music appreciation. So we teach them can you find the beat in the song? Do you know what that is? Is it a 3/4 measure? Is it a 4 measure?
My heart and soul.
These girls couldn't count. I mean, it was wild. I was like, do you guys not hear the beat? And they were like, no. And I was like, all right, let's all clap together for literally 4 minutes. And, and it seems, but it's necessary, which was wild. I was like, now we get it. And they're like, we get it. And I was like, okay, great. Let's put the work to it. So it's we do that for literally about 30-40 minutes. And then we do combos. So we teach them how to move their body with a flag, and we do combos. And then this year, one thing that I started doing was we took parts of our show and made them across the floors. Which was a game changer. Because I was like, we can do basics bot mods all day, right? But do we do bot mods really in the show the whole time? No. So let's do the roll onto the ground, get up, a handstand, or arabesque or something. And so we put those into fun songs so that they could do them. And then, it's just practice over practice over practice. So It was really good. Other than that, that's pretty much what we're doing right now. We also have a class as well, and we've made that mandatory, which I love. If we wouldn't have had that last year, our first year in Scholastic A, regional with 8 brand new girls, we would not have been in 4th place. I can tell you that much in a Florida circuit. We're in FFCC, so it's, it's closet.
It's competitive.
And so I was like, oh my God, we're so behind. We are so behind. And so if I wouldn't have had that 45-minute class every day, man, what you can do in 45 minutes is wild. But
yeah, absolutely.
I think that should be mandatory.
Basically all you're just doing in-person stuff through the summer.
We tried
Okay.
the video thing, and I kind of got the same feedback. Like, the girls were way more receptive and more encouraged doing it in person. And we went from videos to like, okay, you three perform for everybody right now. And it also got rid of that stage fright situation, because our first show, and I'm all about reality and expectations. Okay. From here, I was like, this is going to be a hot mess express. Nobody's been out in front of people before. And they did. It was one girl set up in the wrong direction. And I was like, you know what? It is what it is. This is their first time ever doing this. Like, I'm not mad. Like, do you understand now kind of situation? And once we started performing in front of the girls and they were able to encourage their friends and like they were able to enjoy performing for their friends, it was much easier by championships for them to walk out with some attitude and like be able to put it on the floor and connect that whole piece.
Yeah.
Because
doing that in front of that safety in front of your peers is so powerful. So looking at what all of you all are describing, there is this sort of macro structure that it feels like you all are following, whether it's Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, or 4 hours or 8 hours, or we do this intensive and then we're less intensive over the summer. You've got a schedule that the students know what to expect. They know, if I'm in town, my booty's going to be there. It's either you or your staffs that are, whether you're breaking it down like a normal rehearsal or it's more casual, there is a plan of like, we're doing this for this many hours, this for this many hours, and then maybe we're going to do something fun, or we're going to learn the National Day of Dance, nappy tabs, hip hop routine, or whatever we used to do back in the 2010s. And then there's a tracking system that maybe is in front of everybody. Maybe it's on your own computer, but the kids always know where they're standing with where they are. Very little video stuff happening. So I love hearing this. I've been out of the director game for 4 years. So I'm coming out of right after COVID, where I had to still, even my last winter, I still had to work with kids that were virtual students. They still weren't back in school in the spring of 2022 because of ill family members or things of that nature. So there was so much that I was still doing video virtual. And what I'm hearing from the panel here is that's not what anybody's really interested anymore. Whether it's the adult going, I don't want to watch these videos, or the kid being like, I'm not standing in my backyard so my neighbor can watch me drop this flag 657 times and my saber get dirty.
I mean, we don't perform virtually.
Right.
We don't practice virtually. When did we start thinking that it was the norm to collect video?
Because we had to.
I mean, even in the most, like think about all the independent guards that we have. Like, I know for a fact, it's like chasing. We chase people to turn in video assignments. It's a chore. It's not, so I can see why that's not happening. Something to suggest about that, talking about leadership, something to empower leadership could be that they have to pass off with their leaders, and, so like, let's say I have a squad of 7 kids. I'm going to tell you guys, pass off day is Tuesday at 6:45 in the morning. And you have to, or whatever, whenever your time is, this is your time to pass off with me. I'll be waiting for you, and then your leaders can go, this person passed off this, and this today. And then they start to, instead of looking for our approval on the skills, they look for their peers' approval on the skills. And that kind of gives the leadership something to do. So just, I've been thinking about that and holding it.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you even said the morning, even though internally I cringed. There are so many kids. I'm sure that you all have students that do multiple activities, like color guard is not their entire life. And some of them have family situations where, like, on their off days, they have got to get straight home because little brother is going to get off the elementary school bus and they've got to take care of them. So sometimes that 20 minutes before school is the only time that they have to give. And that's a time where a leader can be on campus where maybe you can't. I don't know what's happening with Adam, right? I don't know if all of your screens are doing what mine is doing. Adam is like a disco party from one corner to the other on my screen. It was whatever. But that before school, I think Adam's thought of, well, the staff is going to be here for 20 more minutes, so we can do it then. But offering that before school too, if you've got a leader that you trust that is reliable, that can do it. I think that's the kids are so pulled in so many thousands of directions nowadays. It seems like so much more, but I think back and I'm like, I was also doing things 7 days a week from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. every day. So how did I make that balance? Because we didn't even have the internet. I mean, we did, but
Exactly.
barely. The late 1900s were not a technological
Right.
island. So it's so much because every program is a little bit different, whether with the adults and the staff or the band directors. I mean, like, what happens if you don't have keys to get in the school to do any of this stuff? What if your band director is like, May 3rd or whatever, May 30th, I'll see y'all on August 8th.
Yeah.
Right.
So, finding that process where, is there a park somewhere that you could go that's got a big gazebo that you could go out and do dance class in? It's not ideal, but is there a park that you can go in, a soccer field? Is there somewhere in your neighborhood that has a common area where you guys could all meet? There can be parent supervision. They can come bring icy pops at 12 p.m. after you've done things. Like, I think that we can, and the last thing I want to do is just kind of wrap this up in a tidy bow and go, here's the gift of how you engage and train your students over the summer. But these are all just meant to be like matches that maybe strike you if you're watching this and go, okay, well, I can do this, or we could do that, or we could go here, or maybe this is a good time for me to talk to my band director about how I feel and how the kids feel and what I see for the program. And, you don't have to ask for a lot. Sometimes you just have to ask and go, can we do 1 day a week? Like, what's a good day of the week that you can be available to let us in if you're somebody that doesn't have keys? Do you need supervision? Is there a parent that works in the school district that could be a supervision for you? If you don't have one, I highly recommend you pick one of those up somehow. A full-time school district employee as a guard parent is literally life-changing. So, finding the ways, and, if video is the only thing that works for you, then there are so many tools that you can do to make it easy. The thing that I will say, and I hope you all will nod, is small bites on video assignments, very small bites, and not 18 weeks of things to do, like one thing on each piece of equipment and 2-week turnarounds. If the kids are doing it, great. You don't need to grade it. You don't need to give it points. You don't need to make a ranking. You don't need to give it any type of, you're doing it. I love that. You know where your equipment is and it's July 4th. Fantastic. I love that for us, that you know where your stuff is. So the impetus and inspiration of this conversation is to just spark some ideas and know that there is a solution to anything that you may feel is stepping in your way. I know that I and other folks on the education committee for CWEA, and I'm sure Victoria will as well, any resources that we have, we are always here to help you get to the solution to your hurdle that you're at. And hopefully this can give you some ways to kind of look at your summer and go, okay, I can do 1 day a week. I can do 1 day a week for 4 hours and get the kids together, and we can stretch and we can move and we can jog around the school and we can do some pull hits and we can learn how to face different directions and we can throw some doubles from the dip or learn how to do saber flourishes. Like, make a super cliff note version of the things that you want your kids to be able to do, right? Because most of you all watching this, remember, are regional A and A color guards. So focus in on that training and that set of skills, because that's going to be what is going to be the crop that you sow and reap in the springtime. What you start now is what happens in the springtime. And I circle back to Ian's conversation about how that even starts in December, a year and a half before you want to see what you've grown. You're starting that if you're waiting for it to come, you're too late. You got to be ahead. So now is the time, as we're in mid-April and you're catching up on your rest. This is a great time to think about what's possible, what's ideal, and what you're capable of doing. And I hope all of this content has been helpful. Guys, do you have any last minute cheer-ons for Team CWE?
You guys, there's so many good color guards in that circuit. So take a look in your backyard and talk to people in that circuit. I'm always impressed with CWE color guards. Like I would start rattling off some that I'm a huge fan of, but I don't need to. You guys already know your circuit, but don't be afraid to ask people in your circuit for advice and things. Like I talk to people in my circuit all the time. I'm like, how'd you do that? How did you phrase that money? How did you, and people want to be helpful. It's our nature as color guard people. We want to be helpful. So don't be afraid to reach out to your friends. And if you want to reach out to me, I'm totally like, add me on Facebook, be like, hey, I saw your video. I want to talk to you. I would love to talk to you, so.
Amazing.
Anyways,
Thank you.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah. Anyone else last thoughts?
No. I'll be adding Ian, so that's okay. I already knew that. I knew that in my soul. I was like, I already know I need like the ideas because like, again, someone who comes from the circuit, I love the circuit. I think we have really great, there's so much opportunities within the CWE circuit. And I'm so glad we had this conversation for them because the circuit is huge and it's growing, specifically the color guards. And there's just so many within the regional A categories that can be moved because there's so much talent. We just have to be able to like hone in on it. So I'm excited to see hopefully how this like helps improve our circuit. So thank you guys for also being here.
Yes, thank you, Jen, for putting this together.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the kind of the first step in a huge push to grow the education in all of our divisions, not just color guard, but all of our divisions. So I really appreciate you all for taking the time to have this chat, share your ideas, what works, what doesn't, what your thoughts are, and congratulations to all on a wonderful winter. I know that you probably had 2 seconds to rest and now you're back going crazy, but that's why we love what we do. And that's why we keep coming back to make the magic happen yet again. And we're all very grateful for the insight that you shared, and wish you all the best. And hopefully we can chat again soon about maybe some different topics.
Cool.
Thanks, y'all. Have a
Bye.
great
Have a good night.
Bye.
and have a great summer.